In another set of huge revelations, we have this statement today by Dominic Cummings about a bunch of things he's been accused of by the government. This is, of course, the ex-advisor to Boris Johnson, Dominic Cummings. So nice to see there's a little bit of Tory infighting going on right here. Now, the first part we have here is him saying that he did there was no WhatsApp messages that he leaked about the stuff to do with Boris Johnson and James Dyson. Now, what's this? If you're not fully aware, James Dyson essentially was given a huge COVID contract on the fast track by the government to produce ventilators ahead of a competitive agreement between multiple organisations, and he is of course a Tory donor. Who would have thought it? And second of all, in text between Boris Johnson and James Dyson, they promised to fix his tax issue, which is a little bit weird, isn't it? Which, as we look into here, it was regarding they make sure his employees wouldn't pay extra tax if they came to the UK to make ventilators during the pandemic. This is also mired in the previous sleazy backdoor deals that we have with regards to Rishi Sunak, seeing what he could do about using public money to bail out Greensill Capital, which David Cameron asked him to do so because he's an advisor and a lobbyist for them. And then all of these different things are happening. We have Matt Hancock's giving out a COVID contract to someone that he knows from the pub. We have Ayanda, who was given a massive COVID contract because they had a lobbyist in common with the actual Treasury itself, who they gave us 50 million pieces of PPE that we couldn't even fucking use. So they are clearly quite mired in a lot of drama surrounding the Downing Street push to be able to give public money away to people who donate to or are supporters of, or are just people even vaguely connected to the Conservative Party. Remember, of course, this is your money. This is public money. This is our tax money that they're just gifting to their mates, right? This is what they're there to serve us. We pay their bills, and they're just taking the money that we pay in tax and just gifting off to some guy they know, someone who supported their campaign, which is ridiculous cronyism of the highest order. We could be using this pandemic to be able to radically change society in a way that benefits the real working people, rather than just some big city bankers who happen to shag one of Boris Johnson's mates and then suddenly get gifted millions of pounds in public money, which is disgraceful, right? Anyway, so the texts about the tax issue and the ventilator issue were leaked, but they Number 10 is claiming that it was Cummings who leaked these, and he's in rebuking these claims here. And then they were done by WhatsApp, but he's saying here that, well, if they were there, you would be able to release them. And it's like, well, it's WhatsApp. You can just delete the messages, right? And it's end-to-end encryption, so there's no server hosting any of these messages. If Boris Johnson wanted to clear up any issue here, he could have just deleted any text, or Cummings and vice versa. They said, happy to search my phone for Dyson messages. Well, you could just delete them there, Dominic, if you really wanted. And then, so that's the first thing we've got going on here, where he's being accused by the government of leaking text messages about the James Dyson issue. Funny, a lot of Conservative infighting since he stopped becoming the advisor to Boris Johnson. How funny that. How quickly they are to stab each other in the back for political purposes. Although, to be fair, Boris Johnson is the man who conspired to have a journalist beaten up, so we're not exactly talking, someone who is the paragon of morality here at the very least. There's a second message that has apparently been leaked here of a decision to further lockdown on the Friday evening, immediately after the meeting in the cabinet room that made the decision, and this is just leaks about stuff to do with lockdown. So this is regarding the fact that because of these lockdown issues that were leaked, the emergency leaking, apparently this was done by Harry Newman to be one of the people who would be implicated in this. And if he was confirmed the leak, he'd have to be fired, and this would cause him distress with Carrie because they're friends. Oh no, Diddums, might an inquiry into your sleaze in Parliament and the issues that you have gone under as PM, might that have some trouble for your relationship? Or is information that the public is usually necessary to have, too inconvenient for you, Boris? Amusingly, Dominic Cummings saying here that this would be mad and totally unethical, as he ordered the inquiry himself and authorised the Cabinet Secretary to use more invasive methods than usually applied to leak inquiries because of the seriousness of the leak. Suddenly when it finds out that someone who his girlfriend is mates with is implicated, suddenly he turns on a fucking dime. Quite rightly, Cummings, Cummings, being the good guy for the first time in his life, refusing to try and persuade the cabinet secretary to stop the inquiry, and then encouraging the cabinet secretary to conduct the inquiry without any concerns for political ramifications. Seems entirely reasonable, but again, more conservative in fighting here, which is stuff that we all love to see. And then shortly afterwards, the Cabinet Secretary authorised the PM's then official spokesperson to tell the media that this inquiry had shown that neither I nor the Director of Communications were the lockdown leakers. And he confirmed to me in writing that he had so instructed the PM's then official spokesperson. The PM himself also confirmed in writing that the leak inquiry had shown neither I nor the Director of Communications was the leaker, describing rumours to this effect as quote-unquote total bullshit. He knows that Cummings is not the source of the leak, which they are claiming that he is. And the Cabinet Secretary authorised the Prime Minister's official spokesman to tell the media this, yet he has now authorised his DOC to make this accusation in retrospect, which is, they seem to be wanting to. They know that Dominic Cummings doesn't really have the greatest public image with regards to what happened with Barnard's Castle, etc., in the past, in his time as being Boris Johnson's advisor, and now trying to use him as a scapegoat to palm off all of these accusations that have been made by leaks in the media, etc., to try and save face, and then try and essentially jettison the Dominic Cummings weight to save the ship, which is understandably the events that contributed to his decision to stick to leave number 10 by 18th of December, which I communicated to the PM in July, the day before my long delayed operation. Thirdly, the third bit of information is the most juiciest one in the list, with regards to the flat that was refurnished for Boris and Carrie using political donation money, of all things. I know, right? It beggars belief. And they said that the PM stopped speaking to me this matter in 2020, as I told him that I thought his plans to have donors secretly pay for the renovation were unethical, foolish, possibly illegal, and almost certainly broke the rules on proper disclosure of political donations if conducted in the way he intended, and then refused to help organise those payments. Obviously, therefore, knowledge about them is limited, but funnily how enough that Dominic Cummings is now attacking Boris Johnson for the outright sleazy behaviour that he has been engaging in. I mean, what was going to happen? They clearly poked the wasp's nest too many times with all of these accusations against Cummings. That quite clearly he has no obligation, in his eyes, to continue protecting the PM for his ridiculous behaviour. So nice to see that happen. And then, of course, he has said that he's happy to hand over private text messages, even though he has no legal obligation to do so. But, you think it'll be worth doing so to A, clear his own name, and B, to implicate the people who've been clearly planning this hit job for quite a long time against him to save their own faces. So I'm looking forward to continuing to watch the Conservative government implode underneath this huge weight of serious accusations against their moral character and their time at number 10. Because at the end of the day, as I stated before, these are people whose bills we pay with our tax money, and they're using our tax money to just gift it to their mates and their cronies, and they do not care which of their political allies they have to backstab to be able to cover up their ridiculous behaviour. They will do, and unfortunately, Cummings here has decided that he's had enough and he's going to strike back against them. So for the first time ever, I'm going to say good on you, Dominic Cummings, for sticking the knife in where it was indeed warranted. And so, to quote finally, it is sad to see the PM and his office fall so far below the standards of competence and integrity the country deserves. Quote from Dominic Cummings there, which obviously kind of a little bit hypocritical, but he's right.